Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. So today, my name is Natasha Permata Putri. Is going to present about managing for success from chapter 9 in Jeremy Harmer's book. So in this presentation, we'll talk about the effective strategies to manage a classroom for success. So please, next slide. Okay, so these are the topics that I will discuss, starting from why that's the conclusion. Next slide, please. Okay, the first is why problems occur. Understanding the root causes of disruptive behaviors in the classroom is essential for educators to effectively manage and promote student success. So in this presentation, we will explore about some of key factors such as the family, learning expectation, approval, dynamics, teacher action, success failure dynamics, and the external factors. By delving into these areas, we aim to equip ourselves with insight and strategies to create a conducive learning environment where every student can thrive. Next slide, please. Okay. We start from the family. The family. Students' behavior in the classroom can be influenced by their family dynamics and attitudes towards learning and authority. Difficult home situations or negative family attitudes might contribute to disruptive behavior. And next is learning expectation. Previous classroom experiences and cultural norms shape students' expectation of behavior and learning. Negative past experiences or ingrained norms can influence how students behave in the classroom. And the third is approval. Students' self-esteem is impacted by the approval or disapproval of teachers and peers. Lack of approval from teachers or seeking approval from peers may lead to disruptive behavior. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Next is what the teacher does. Teachers' preparation, engagement, and reactions to inappropriate behavior and reaction to inappropriate behavior significantly affect classroom dynamics. Clear lesson planning and effective management technique can prevent or mitigate from disruptive behavior. And next is success and failure. Student motivation is sustained by success and achievement of identifiable goals. Teacher plays a crucial role in recognizing and celebrating student achievements to prevent constant exposure to failure, which can reduce students' incentive to behave appropriately. And last is external factor. Factors such as fatigue, discomfort, and external disturbances can affect students' behavior and engagement. Understanding and addressing these external factors can help create a conducive learning environment. Next. Next is creating a successful classroom. Next slide. Establishing behavior norms. In a successful classroom, behavior norms play a crucial role in maintaining a positive learning environment. These norms are best established through clear communication and collaboration between teachers and students. By openly discussing the purpose and significance of these norms, students gain a deeper understanding of expected behaviors. Additionally, involving students in the negotiation process foster a sense of ownership and responsibility. Regular reviews and updates of these norms ensure their continued relevance and effectiveness in promoting positive behavior among the students. Next slide, please. Okay, so in addition to establishing clear behavior norms, teachers also play a crucial role in creating a successful classroom environment. So here are some steps teacher can take to ensure as we mean to go. It means teacher need to set behavior standards from the beginning and consistently enforce these rules. This helps create a calm and orderly classroom atmosphere. And the second is know what we are going to do. Planning lesson in advance help reduce chaos in the classroom. Students are more likely to engage in learning if they are given interesting and relevant activities. And the third is prioritize success. Teachers should set goals that allow students to achieve success while still being challenged. Praise given to students for their achievements help increase motivation and maintain a positive atmosphere in the classroom. And the fourth is apply equality rules. It is important for the teachers to treat all the students fairly and consistently. Impartiality and consistency in handling behavioral situations can help create a safe, structured classroom environment. And the next is praise is better than blame. Praising students for appropriate behavior is more effective than blaming them for inappropriate behavior. Positive and timely praise can motivate students to behave well in the classroom. The next slide, please. Okay, the third is modifying problem behavior. The first is act immediately. Taking immediate action is crucial in addressing problematic behavior effectively. Delayed responses can allow the behavior to escalate, making it harder to manage. Immediate action demonstrates to students that their behavior is being monitored and that there are consequences for inappropriate actions. Even simple gestures such as pausing and making eye contact with the student can signal to them that their behavior is not acceptable and needs to change. And the second is keep calm. Maintaining composure is the key when dealing with disruptive behavior. Reacting with anger or frustration can escalate the situation further and undermine the teacher's authority. By remaining calm, teachers can approach the situation in measured and controlled manner, which is more likely to diffuse tensions. Keeping a cool demeanor also sets a positive example for students on how to handle challenging situations calmly and maturely. And next is focus on behavior, not the student. It's essential to address the specific behavior that is causing disruption rather than criticizing the student's character. Making personal attacks or comparisons can be counterproductive and may damage the student's self-esteem. By focusing on the behavior itself, teacher can communicate clearly what needs to change without causing unnecessary conflict or resentment. Please, next slide. Next is use clearly agreed sanctions. Establishing clear consequences for inappropriate behavior is essential for maintaining discipline in the classroom. Students need to understand the potential repercussions of their actions, and consistent enforcement of agreed upon sanction help reinforce expectation. Clear and transparent disciplinary measures also promote fairness and accountability, ensuring that all students are treated equitably. And the last is use colleges and the institution. Seeking support from colleges and school administrators is proactive approach to addressing persistent behavior issues. Collaborating with fellow educators can provide valuable insight and strategies for managing challenging situations effectively. Additionally, involving the institution support structures such as counselor or behavioral specialists can offer further assistance in addressing complex behavior issues and supporting the needs of students. Working together as a team will strengthen the school's ability to create a positive and supportive learning environment for all the students. Next. So in conclusion, to create effective learning environments, it's crucial to understand the root causes of problematic student behavior and implement appropriate strategies. Students and educational institution is a key to fostering a positive and supportive learning atmosphere. By applying the discussed principles and strategies, we can establish a classroom environment that enables every student to thrive. Okay, so that's all about my presentation about managing for success. If you have a question, please write down in the chat box. Thank you so much. All right, if you don't have any question, I will end my presentation. I'm sorry if there is any mistaken from me from this presentation. Thank you so much for listening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ahmad Habib Yusuf, and today I would like to presentate about the material grouping students from the book of Jeremy Harmer. All right. Now, okay, this is the contents that we will discuss today. There will be two parts. The first part is different group, and it consists of whole class teaching, sitting whole group class, students on their own, pair work, group work, and bringing the change. And the second part is organizing pair work and group work. And it also consists of making it work, creating pairs and groups, procedures, and troubleshooting. Now, on the first section, we will discuss about the different groups. So in these parts, we will talk about there are many ways to group students in classroom in which each of them have their own advantages and disadvantages. All right, so for the first one is the whole class teaching. So this is the very typical arrangement in teaching where we arrange the students in order of row, and their focus are on the board or on the front of the class. Now, this is the advantages and disadvantages of these arrangements. The advantages is that this whole class teaching would reinforce a sense of belonging between among those students, because they will have the same activities and same task for them in the teaching and learning process. And the second advantages, suitable for teacher-centered activities such as explaining the materials and giving a lot of explanations for the teacher to the students. And also teacher would also get the general understanding of students progress, because they could get the big picture of how every student of how the class actually understand the progress in the generic way. And also it is a generally preferred for the rigidity of the arrangement and the whole steps for teacher to do the whole class teaching. But however, there are also disadvantages in this whole class teaching. The first one is that this arrangement favors group rather than individual, and also it many students are disinclined to participate in front of the class, because it will give them many pressures for them to perform in front of the class by their own, and have to face every students, all of the students, and their teachers also. And the last disadvantages is that it's not encouraging students to be responsible with their own learning, because they will be depend on teachers' explanations, and there are uh, some risks for them to lose concentration and such things. And then the second point is that sitting work group class. So this is the picture of how teacher usually arrange students in their class. There are four kinds that we will discuss today. The first one is orderly rows that we already know. It's a very familiar arrangement for us, and in orderly rows, uh, it's preferable for teacher to work with the whole class for explaining grammar points, for example, or watching video and materials, and also presentation and such things. And there are also two kinds: the circle and horseshoe seating arrangement. And in this seating arrangements, uh, the advantages of the advantage of this seating arrangement is that we can have a better sense of equality and flexibility for the whole students. And in the end, it could make them more intimate in the learning progress, and students will be more expressive in performing their speaking activities, for example, or being being more active and participative in the learning process. And the last one is separate tables. And in this arrangement, it is very easy to arrange by the teacher, and it emphasizes the differentiated activity. You can group the students based on their proficiency and ability. For example, the group one is for the high achiever and such things. Now, on the next slides, we also have students on their own, and aka individual activities. The advantages of these students on their own is that teacher could individualize the learning process. It will be less stressful for the students because they don't have to perform in front of everyone and such things. And also it develop learner autonomies because they will be responsible for their own learning process. And it could also give a classroom refreshment. For example, they feel bored by the whole group, by the whole class activities and such things. And when we give individual tasks or assignments, they could have something new for them to do. But however, there are also disadvantages in this arrangement and design, is that it didn't help class to develop a sense of belonging because the students will have to work by themselves and such things, and they may have different activities and such things and progress, so there will be no sense of belonging. And also the second one is that teacher need to prepare more materials because every students may have various necessity and such things, and teacher have to prepare themselves to give extensions and explanation for them who may struggle in the learning process. And then we also have pair work. So in pair work, the students will work between two students, and also and the advantages are that it increased speaking activity for students because they will have to interact with each others, and also it promoting students independence for them to argue, to give opinion between each others also. And teacher can work with with one or two pairs while others working on their task. Yeah, and it also give less burden of responsibility for students because they can support each other, helping each other to understand the material, for example, or deciding on answers and contribution for the class, for example. And also the last advantages is that it's quick and easy for the teacher to arrange pair work. But there are also the disadvantages for this arrangement, is that it might be chaotic, and for the teacher it will be harder to manage because there will be a lot of speaking activities and noise for them, and it would be quite hard to manage in the end. And also students in pair might lose concentrations because uh, when they are converse and talking to each other, they may distray from the learning activities and talking about other irrelevant things outside of the class. And also students may prefer to interact with teacher rather than their friends because some students may want to know things and they want to ask for the teacher that know better than their friends, for example. Or and the last disadvantages is that pairing can be problematic because some students didn't go well with others, and it very much talking about social things, about how some students may have some awkward situation with others and such things. And then for the group work, um, there are of course advantages and disadvantages. The first advantages is that similar to pair works, it increased speaking activity for students, but it also encouraged cooperation and negotiation in the groups because when students are assigned in the groups, they have to participate and give contribution to the groups by giving their opinions, giving their or asking for things that they don't understand between the friends in the group, for example, and such things. And there are also more opinion and contribution in the group, as I already explained before. And also it promotes learner autonomy because they eventually have to decide in the group for um, uh, for them to contribute in the end. But however, uh, there are also disadvantages, and the first one, uh, it might be noisy and it would be worse than the pair works because in the group work they might be some circles and uh, circles of students that they might have a harder possibility for them to socialize between each others and such things. And also some students can dominate the group and other member become passive because there are various students that have different personalities, and some students might have a more active personality, and there are a risk for them to dominate the group and other members just become passive. And also students may prefer to interact with teachers similar to the pair works. And the last one is that group work are more time consuming. Then bringing the changes. It talks about the factors that could affect which grouping suits teacher needs. The first one is the task. So when you decide to arrange to group or pairs students in the activities, you need to consider the task, rather it suits for the students to do it individually, or for them to have a pair or group activity for group arrangement in the task. And also the second one is variety in sequence. um, it means that in some cases you as a teacher may have already give a lot of world class group activities, explaining grammar for example, and apa assigning the students for watching the presentation or videos for example. You need some refreshment in the sequence, and you need to add maybe pair work or group work, so there will be a variety in sequence of you teaching and arranging the class. So for the variety could give the motivation for the students in the learning progress. And also the last one is the mood. So, for example, similar to the variety and sequence, you already give a lot of world-class group. Maybe some students have little engagement in those activities. Then you have to change the activities to group work or pair work and such things. All right, now we move on to the second part, is organizing pair work and group work. Okay, the first one is making it work. So in this part, we will discuss about what you have to do before you actually grouping and pairing in the assignments and activities in the class. So some students may reluctant to do pair work and group work, and you as a teacher need to have a discussion and agreement of learning routines uh, for the students. So you can ask them about their opinion about pair work and group work, rather they prefer to do activities in pairs and groups, or they may have problems or struggles in group and pair work. And this is a changes of method that teacher could do if there are problems for the students to do pair work and group works. So the first one is that you as a teacher need to give more explanation about the instructions, because in some cases maybe the students don't really don't really understand about the instructions, and it may affect the group performance and such things. And the second one is for you as a teacher to concentrate on choosing better tasks, because not every task is suitable for group work or pair work. That's why you have to consider a suitable task for pair work and group work. And the last one, in the extreme cases, if the students have a very big, um, they don't prefer to do pair work and group work, you as a teacher could use those pair work and group works less often, but you it should be happen in the very extreme cases. Now, second, creating pairs and groups. So this is the principles or basis in creating pairs and groups for you as a teacher. The first one is friendship. um, in some cases, you as a teacher, when you try to group or pair students, you can use a principle of friendship for them to let the student choose their pair or their groups based on who they want to be paired, and based on the friendship. And the second one is about streaming. It's when the teacher group students based on their abilities or proficiencies. And then the third one is chance, or basically it means that you group the students based on randomness by using roulette, for example, and such things. And the fourth one, the task. Yes, some tasks um, may portray how you have to arrange the group and in the class, and also you also need to consider to change the groups, because in the class the students don't have to stuck with the same pair and groups for the whole semester, for example. And the last one, you also need to consider the gender and status, because in some contexts some activities may not appropriate for boys and girls to do in one group, for example. So you need to separate them in different groups. But please keep in mind that first, teacher need foster students with acceptance of working with others. So you need to emphasize the social factors of them to befriend everyone and um, not being discriminate to others. And also, as I mentioned before, students should not stuck with the same pair and groups for a better socialized activities. And then this is the procedures for pair work and group work. The first one, okay, there are three parts: before, during, and after. So in before, you need to do engage, instructs, and initiate. So first, you need to engage the students, and also you need to give a clear instructions for them in pairing and group in pair work and group works, and also you need to let the students um, initiate in the activities. And also, but the question is that as a teacher, do you need to demonstrate first or just straight up instruct? So for the activities that the students may don't have the prior knowledge, they don't have an experience in the activities, then you as a teacher need to demonstrate first about the activities, so they could have a better portrait on the instructions. But if the activities is familiar for them already, you can just straight up instruct them about what do they have to do in the activities. And note that the instruction have to be understood by the students. Now, in the during group work or pair works, there are some approaches that you could do as a teacher. First is that you stand in the front of the class and you observe the progress of the students and the group, for example, and you can approach group that seems troubled or have problems in the group activities. Or you can also do monitoring by walk around the class while observe. So you don't have to stand in the front of the class you could also walk around the class while observing and giving support or additional explanation for groups that may struggle in the activities. And note that when you intervene in the groups, make sure it is appropriate for them and make sure it is appropriate for the task itself, because sometimes even though the groups may struggle, there are possibilities that you have to let them solve the problems by themselves and not just straight up intervene on their problems. And then the last one is the after group work and pair work. Now you have to let students demonstrate their works, and you can also compare their works for better understanding between each students and each groups. And you have to also, as a teacher, organize feedbacks for the students and their works. And of course, those feedbacks have to be based for their motivation on the learning process. Now, the last one, troubleshooting. There might be some problems that happen in the pair work and group works. This is the two possibilities that may happen. The first one is finishing first. So imagine if you already assign a groups, and there are one group that could finish the activities first and as early as possible, and everyone's still doing the task. Now, do we need to stop when one group finish first? The problem is that when you stop the group activities by just because there are one group that finish first, you could demotivating other groups that still doesn't finish their works. So in order to prevent that, you could prepare series of challenging task extensions. So when one group could finish first than the other, you could give some extension activities for them to do, so they don't just wait for others to finish their works. And then the second possibilities is awkward group. So it might be unavoidable to happen because some students might have problem to socialize with others and such things. And in these possibilities, teacher need to change the pairs and the groups. Okay, and that's all in the material. If you have a question, you could ask by unmuting yourself or by writing it on the chat box. Thank you.
Okay, I wanna ask a question. Apa suaranya terdengar?
Yes, Rabiatul, you can ask.
Okay, so the question is, one of the principle in creating group is friendship, but in some case, if we let students choose their group, there might be some students that left alone. How do we solve this problem? Can you explain? Yes, maybe.
Okay, thank you, Rabiatul, for the questions. I might have to give me some moment to prepare the answers. All right. All right. Thank you for waiting. I would like to answer the questions from Rabiatul. So basically, if when you assign the groups by friendship, if for some cases we let students choose their group, there might be some students that left alone. How do we solve the problem? So based on the books, we when those things happen, we can use sociogram. So first, you as a teacher, you have to make sure that that students need to stay anonym, so other students should not know the sociogram between each others, and the only one that that have to know the answers for the sociogram is the teacher. So in the sociogram, the students would be assigned to make a sim, like a mind map, that explains about their relationships between each other. So they could just draw about relationships between their friends, about who they like the best to the least. So when you as a teacher already know the scene or the mind map about the relationship between among those students, you could assign them in the groups. So but again, you have to make sure that the relationship, that the answer from the students are not spilled to the students itself. And as a teacher, it is only appropriate for you to know the answers. Is it answer your question, Rabiatu?
Okay, it's understandable. Thank you so much for the answer, Afif.
Okay, thank you. Because the time is limited, maybe I will just close my presentation now. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrea Rizkianisa, and today I want to present about teaching grammar based on Jeremy Harmer book, which is The Practice of English Language Teaching. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, this book provides many ways to introduce grammar to the students, and this following activity is one of them. In this activity, students learn how to make sentences using the present simple in the third person singular. They have already learned how to say affirmative and negative sentences in the first and second person. And then the teacher holds up a number of flashcards and elicits the words dogs, get up, doorbell, car, uniform, a lot of money, and etc. And then the students say them orally and individually before doing a quick cue response drill using the different pictures as prompts. After that, students now see the picture of Sarah. The teacher asks the students what they think Sarah's job is, but does not confirm or deny their suggestion. And then the teacher explains that she is going to tell them what Sarah does every day. She says the following sentences, and the students have to choose which flashcard or picture is being talked about. Like, she doesn't like dogs, she gets up early, and then she doesn't drive a car, she rings doorbell, and then she doesn't earn a lot of money, and she wears a uniform. When the students have guessed that Sarah is a postwoman, the teacher holds up the cards individually and tries to elicit the sentences about each one. She models the sentences and probably gets oral and individual repetitions before moving on. Okay, that's for the first activity, which is introducing a grammar. And then next slide, please. Now let's move on to discovering grammar. I've only took just one of many ways that has been provided in the book too. So in this following example, students are encouraged to work out for themselves how language forms are constructed and used. And then they go on to the exercises using the language they have uncovered. It is highly possible that they have seen the language before, of course, but this may be the first time that they have studied it properly. In this example, students have listened to a dialogue in which people have been comparing things. Before moving on to make their own sentences, the teacher wants to draw their attention to the way that we make adjectives comparative, and she could have done this by giving rules or perhaps just by ignoring such technical information and hoping that students would notice the various possibilities. Instead, we can choose to put them in pairs and give them the exercise when they have finished. And then checks through the answer, making sure that the students understand the one-syllable words which end with a vowel and a consonant double the last letter. Okay, and then and the longer words are preceded by more, but otherwise they stay the same. And then we can move on to a practice exercise. For example, the teacher can put a group of words on the board, and one student draws an arrow between any two of the words, and the other students have to come up with sentences such as an elephant is bigger than a spider, a cat is clever. There are two potential problems with the way the start of this sequence asks students to discover facts about comparative adjective forms. Firstly, it is not always easy to give a complete grammatical picture. The exercise above, for example, does not give all the necessary information about comparative forms. But to think about how language works, such an exercise are extremely useful, especially when, as here, the language rules they are investigating are fairly easy to discern. Okay, next slide, please. Now we move on to the practicing grammar. And this activity is designed to get students making sentences using the present continuous. It can also be used to practice the past simple, and it has a slight game element because the other students have to guess what the speaker is talking about. We tell students to think of a place they really like to be, like a beach, a nightclub, on the sport field, and then they should keep their choice to themselves. Now we tell them to imagine they are in this place, and we ask them to look around them and write down 3 things that they can see using the present continuous. Example, a lot of people are shouting, a man is blowing a whistle, someone is kicking a ball. While they are doing this, we can go around the class monitoring their progress and suggesting alternatives or prompting students who can think what to write. One student now comes to the front of the class, reads out his or her sentences, and then says, "Where am I?" And the other students try to guess where the place is. One of the advantages of the activity done in this way is that students are given time to think up their present continuous sentences rather than having to produce them spontaneously. But of course, we could do it as a quick fire game too, if this is appropriate. We don't have to use the present continuous. Students could talk about a place they went to, either in reality or an imagined place, and make sentences in the past simple about what they saw there. Okay, next slide, please. And then there are some grammar games. In these grammar games, students sit in 2 teams, and then there is a pile of cards between them. On each card, there is a word or phrase, and the cards are face down. A member of team A picks up the first card and then has to ask the other team members questions until they give exactly the answer that is written on the card. And then the game, which is suitable for all level, forces students to think extremely carefully about the exact construction of the question they are asking. Okay, next slide, please. Now we move on to the next chapter, which is grammar book. Grammar books come in many shapes and sizes. They range from ones for students at lower level, which tends to offer quick digestible explanations of grammar points and provide opportunities for practice of these specific points, and to works designed for the more serious researcher, teacher, or advanced students. Michael Swan, a noted author of pedagogical grammar material, suggests that good grammar rules for a pedagogic grammar should exhibit simplicity, because some grammar rules are more true than others, and then they have clarity and relevance. Next slide, please. This is one of the examples of grammar books that easy to understand for lower grades. And then next slide, please. And this one is for the more advanced students, such as researcher and etc. Okay, next slide, please. I think that's all for my presentation. If you have any question, please send it to the chat room. Okay, because there are no questions, I think this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.